Okay, so I have definite apologies from Councillor Wen and Councillor Drake. Probable apologies from Councillor Chong as well, who's in London. Heard anything from Councillor? Yes. Checking that we have a quorum to continue.
So actually, as we've got 4, okay, so it's half.
Okay, so carry on. Okay, so yes, apologies. We need to accept the apology.
Yes, if we accept the apologies.
Those in favour of accepting the apologies. Thank you. Okay, would anyone like to declare any interests for the agenda items tonight? Okay, thank you. Chair's reports. I do not have a chair's report. Do we have any urgent items?
No, Chair.
Okay, have we received any public questions?
Nothing being said, Chair.
Thank you very much. Okay, so let's run through the minutes just from the 11th of June. Thank you for writing these up. Any comments, questions? Minutes, please.
I've got one, just a minor one on 6.9 item 1 about the approval of the community grant. I think we did agree that it would be a one-off because there was some discussion about it. Maybe it could be something that would there'd be continuation of it or expectation for continuation.
Yeah, that's certainly what we'll do in the future. It won't be a future sort of application in that way. We're not trying to set a precedent in any way.
Okay,
is that satisfactory? Would you like
it's satisfactory, yeah, but just to, I suppose, for us to note.
Yeah. I suppose we've agreed as per the minutes.
Yeah,
nothing else has been agreed.
Yeah,
your point is valid, but my sense is it's probably implicit in the text that it's not a recurring commitment.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Any other comments or questions on those minutes from the 11th of June, please? All those in favour of accepting, please raise your hand. Thank you, everybody. By Paul, the 10th of September. Thank you. Yes. Okay, so next item we'll go through the officers' report. So we just started off with the item 6.1, please.
Thank you, Chair. So this is the forward planner and resolution tracker. Just to confirm that all the items in the resolution tracker from our last meeting have been marked as complete. There's nothing really further for me to really add, Chair, but happy to take any questions.
Just one more about the same item, about the verification of the quote. Remember, there was an error in that quote.
That was verified. I think, trying to remember now, apologies. It was the way that set the quote out wasn't particularly clear, but a member of the team contacted them and it was the right amount.
Okay.
I think it was just their presentation wasn't the best, so it was confirmed that the overall amount was correct. It was just how they laid the quote out wasn't particularly clear.
Yeah, comments or questions on item 6.1, please. The forward plan and resolution tracker. All those in favour of accepting? Thank you. So item 6.2 is our budget update.
Chair, so this is the budgetary control. The report outlines the council's budgetary position as at the end of July of this year, which is month 4. If I could draw your attention to the appendix on page 15, it shows the actual income and expenditure compared to the revised budget. The council is currently reporting a favourable net position of over 35,000, which is largely due to strong income levels. So that's particularly on the tennis courts, increased sponsorship of community events, and higher investment interest from retained cash balances. But further detail on all these variances can be found in section 5 on pages 13 and 14 of the agenda. I'd like to also highlight the recommendation in 2.1.3 by way of an explanation. So environment is when an organisation reallocates funds from one part of their budget to another. It doesn't increase the overall budget. It simply moves the money from into the area that it's needed. So in line with our financial regulations, the committee's asked to improve all violence of over 30,000. In this case, the violent relates to the decision to bring the floral display contract in-house, which was resulted in reducing the public realm management line and increasing the staffing line where we've got a new ranger, Newtown Ranger.
So we've reduced third-party costs
Yes,
and we've made a decision to take on another member of staff for other activities. Is that-
exactly that, Chair.
And that was approved by the Community Services Committee.
That's correct. But you have to take any other questions?
Okay. So any questions on the budget report from Dan, please? Correct questions. So overall, positive. So that money in the bank is helping us. Just a couple of other items. So just some other variances on the on Appendix A, item 3, Town Hall, basically town council staff. So negative variance of 900, is that 21 or 24,000?
No, just £921.
21, sorry, of those pounds, okay. And there's a negative variance of 674 for IT and digital. What would, is it just the underspend?
So the overspend on Town Hall, I believe, is to do with utilities but the profiling of those of that budget. So where it's not a smooth in-year spend.
Yeah.
So I think that would be a large portion of that.
And but that's just the year-to-date variances. Do you expect the full year to be?
I wouldn't expect it to carry on at that level.
Right. Okay, and the IT and digital.
So that's a saving, and that would just be where, based on the estimated contract costs of based on the budget versus what we're actually paying. So there's a small saving at the minute.
Okay, and there was I'm just trying to pick the material ones. And there was a nice bit low down the pavilion. So again, a favourable variance of about 3,000.
So with that one, I think I mentioned that in the report, but if I didn't, apologies. That is to do with where, when we set the budget last year, we anticipated that there'd be a higher level of costs for the pavilion, but where obviously it's not been built yet, and with the specification of the pavilion changing, that will be an ongoing saving.
Okay.
So that's also built into the budget when we get on to the next item.
Okay, I understand. And again, just the commentary here in section 5. So if I play that back, as you say, favorable variance year to date of 35,789. Understand that. And then if you break that down, so commercial income, again, doing well on tennis courts, and there's a good summer, so lots of people going out playing tennis. That makes sense. Sponsorship, so that's good. Hopefully local business community supporting the town council. Some capex and interest income items, and there's the project. Okay, so I think I get that. And there's the point about releasing the reserves and the agreement. Okay, right. So you answered my question. So are we okay to move to a vote to the 4 items?
Can I check one thing? Is the police moving in? Is that having a cost?
There's a small cost in just setting up the building to make sure everything's alarmed properly and they've got access, but not material. And it's certainly it will be within our existing budget. It won't need to be a growth item.
I just thought it would be knocking through doors, like sounded like things like that, but not.
Yeah, Chair, I mean, so there is work, there's a new door. I think the cost in total is about £3,500. But within the budget, we've got a business plan initiatives line, and as I think about £20,000 in. So that budget is to deliver our priorities. So one of our priorities is strategic partnerships. So that £3,500 is paying out there.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's just move to a vote. So all of those in favour of just noting the reports, please raise your hand. Thank you. All of those okay to note the release of the reserves, please raise your hand. Thank you. And finally, all of those in favour of approving the vehemence detailed in 4.9, please raise your hand. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, next item is the first look on budget for next year, section 6.3.
Thank you, Chair. So each year by the end of January, we must finalise the budget for the upcoming financial year, including setting the precept for council tax. This process begins now to ensure that there's enough time to plan thoroughly. Setting a balanced budget requires a rigorous process to deliver efficiencies, maintain service quality, generate income, and meet growing service demands. The initial first look report supports the business plan's quality and financial sustainability. Officers have reviewed the existing budget and made adjustments based on salaries, inflation, commercial income, service level growth, business plan priorities, and identified savings. The report sets out the required budget and the indicative precept increase. As we move towards January, uncertainties will become clearer, giving us a more accurate picture of budget pressures and requirements. Each January, the Council approves the budget and considers the medium-term financial strategy for the next 3 years. This year, the anticipated precept increase was 6.3%, but the latest analysis suggests a slightly higher increase of 6.56%. The 6.56% assumes that the no council tax base increase, but that will have an ultimate positive effect and reduce the precept increase. So it will be lower than the 6.56% that's presented in this first look. The initial analysis suggests that the overall budget will be 2.2 million, which is which will increase in net expenditure by 152,000. And I think I'll stop there.
Okay. Thank you.
Happy to take any questions.
Councillors, any questions, comments?
I have a note from John to yourself about looking at slightly lower. I mean, I find it's rather trying times that the increase is way above inflation. Not sure that's a good thing for taxpayers and residents. So, and I understand there's an element of certainty and there's stuff outside of our control, but what steps are we going to take to keep that increase down for the residents during this process?
Thank you for raising that. And the exchange I had with Councillor Drake, which thank you for bringing up, and I was going to bring up as well, was exactly the same point. And the gist of what he was asking for would be just to do a sensitivity analysis where we'd reduce the precept increase by 1%, so from 6.56, I think, to 5.56, which I think is a perfectly legitimate ask. Essentially, just to stress test the budget. So, I would think there's probably some things we want to do different on the revenue line and the cost line. Some things are discretionary and non-discretionary, and that some things are easier to make changes on than others. But I thought it was a perfectly reasonable suggestion from Councillor Drake. Just procedurally, would we need to just agree this as a motion amongst the councillors this evening?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I'd like to get everyone on board with that. So I'm happy to sort of co-sponsor that suggestion. So the intention there, which I'm very happy with, is just this very good analysis as ever. But I think it's reasonable to say, okay, well, if just to ensure we're getting value for money and we know where the areas for adjustment might be, that we would ask Daniel to do another version of this for the second look, where instead of a precept being 6.56, we just arbitrarily bring it down by 1% to 5.56, and then what are the choices that we would have to face? And probably there's a spectrum of consequences from okay, it's fine towards this is going to be quite painful. Okay, but we just flushing those out would I think be a helpful exercise. Any comments from?
No, I think that's a reasonable approach.
Okay. Councillor Lively, your
Yeah.
thoughts on that?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm happy to sponsor to pass the propose a motion. So I would like to run a sensitivity, good analysis, no issues. So if you could just on the next look, we'll do version A, which is this one, but we'll do sensitivity, just take it down by 1%. Not to 1%, but by 1%, to be clear. And then just give us, your action plan of what you would recommend us to consider as consequences of that.
Okay, that's fine, Chair. If I can just add that, just to try and give councillors some peace of mind, that the way the first look has been written is to keep the quality of the service in the same volume, the same as it is at the moment, and each line is looked at to see if there are, make sure that each line is fit for purpose in the budget. So just to give some peace of mind on that. And I think it would be about 17,000 that would be looking to reduce the budget by to meet that 1% reduction.
Okay.
But I'll certainly take that away for the second look.
Okay, so I think the intent of stress testing a budget in the cause of taxpayer value for money is something I completely support, and I think we all do. I guess the question is 1% a meaningful stress test? Because if we're only looking for a 17,000 adjustment, okay, I'm sure there'll be some things that might be a bit awkward, but it's not getting into the painful territory. So a question for councillors, even a suggestion, would we want that sensitivity to be a bit more pushy down to say reduced by 2%, for example? Is that something that we would consider?
Well, I would support that because, you look at the general situation in the country and public finances, people are under pressure. And, I think it behoves the council to demonstrate it's aware of that and push it a bit and see where we get to.
Okay,
That's my feeling.
okay, thank you. Councillors Liver, Timmins?
Yeah, I agree. I think we can look at 2%. Would be a good idea.
Okay, so
Yeah,
Councillor
yeah,
Liver?
no, fine.
So just to manage the workload, so I think let's just have one sensitivity at whatever it is, less 2%, and we don't want you doing an excessive amount of work. But I think 2% will be a better stress test, and I think the suggestion from Councillor Drake was well intentioned and legitimate. But my proposal, I'd like to get your agreement, councillors, is that we do a 2% sensitivity. Okay, all of those in favour of supporting that sensitivity request for the next look? Thank you very much. Okay. Right, so just a couple of other questions on the. Just check actually. No, I think I was fine. Okay, so I'm happy to move to just the approval of the budget and the actions set out in 2.1. So let's we're okay to approve the budget timetable and process set out in 5.2. All those in favour, raise your hand, please. Thank you. And there are some budget and inflation assumptions set out in 4.3 and 4.6. I'm asking you to approve those two as well, please. Thank you very much. And finally, all those able to note the level of reserve set out in sections 6, 7 and 8. So all those in favour of that, please raise your hand. Very good. Okay, thank you. Okay, so next item I think is the update from the Community Citizens Advice. Team, thank you.
That's correct, Chair. So it's the normal layout of the report and presents the information for Q1 for this financial year, 2025-26, showing 163 clients have been helped over 434 issues, and they've provided their normal narrative as well, just to try and bring to life some of the cases that they've dealt with. But have to take any questions.
Any questions, observations from the councillors, please? Very interesting report. I guess a couple of things jump out. It's section 3.5. It seems that the certain numbers of clients that we're helping has gone up over the last 2 years. There's a bit of a dip last year, as I may interpret the numbers, but certainly it's come up again quite substantially from 24-25. So that was interesting. The other metric I think is quite interesting is and I think this is quite a nice analysis. They try and sort of quantify the financial benefits that they deliver to their customers through help, particularly on sort of utilities bills. And they're claiming a benefit of 46,000, which I think is exactly to your point, councillor. You know, these are difficult times. A lot of local families. I think that's there's a lot of social value to that.
Well, I think that's why the numbers have probably gone up.
Could be.
That's my take on those numbers. How do we, sorry, as a newbie, how do we quantify the benefit? How is that figure arrived at? The people being the clients that have been made better off by that number. How is that arrived at?
Yeah, Chair. So that's a model that Citizens Advice use across the country. So essentially, it's like a social value model that they utilise. So they put a number of different factors into it, and that helps them to quantify, per pound of spend, how much is the, what's the social value, and indeed on that. We've sent that round before, actually, a while back. We've asked June Chapman and the Chief Exec to share that. So we'll do that again, just so we've got a kind of clear definition. Councillor Lydon might actually be worth giving her.
So it's just if somebody comes and presents a Citizens Advice and they are assisted to a claim for the benefit, that benefit has a set amount.
Yes, because about it.
For the value. So that's basically it.
Okay, so any further comments or questions from the councillors this evening, please? Okay, all those okay to note the report, please raise your hands. Thank you. Good. And the next item, I think, is an update from the Harpenden Collective Banner.
That's correct, yeah.
Thank you.
So the report presents the monitoring information provided by the Harpenden Collective. They've provided some really interesting narrative, but because of the format of that, I've only sent that out electronically. Doesn't form part of the pack because there's a lot of colour and it looks great, but it'll
Printing bill will go expensive.
yeah, exactly, Chair. So I've included the basic summary in a similar way to the CAB report in paragraph 3.4 on page 31. But happy to take any questions.
Out of curiosity, is it Carl, have you attended or any of the staff attended the events? The Harpenden Business Forum. I wasn't able to attend myself.
Yeah, so one of the team went to their sort of inaugural sort of opening last week, which was very popular. They continue with their different networking events each month.
Yeah.
They're sort of 2.5 months in, I think, into Red Gables. The next big event is Monday, Business Forum. So the Town Council's first Business Forum meeting. up at Red Gables. And as of yesterday, I don't know what the latest figure is, but as of yesterday, we had 80 businesses,
Okay.
or business people coming along. So that would be a good measure of our partnership, and we'll kick off that next initiative as well.
I will try my best to be there on Monday. Work permitting, of course. Okay, so thank you for the updates. Any other questions or comments from the councillors tonight, please? All those in favour of noting the report? Thank you very much. Good. Okay, so next item is the bank reconciliation. Please.
Thank you, Chair. So this report will become a new regular item on CPF. We need to recall that the bank reconciliations has been done in line with our financial regulations. So if you remember, it used to be carried out by the Accounts and Risk Subcommittee, but that doesn't exist anymore. So the bank reconciliation will be approved by this committee going forward.
Okay, very good. And could you just, certainly for me, this is a new document. I think I followed it, but could you just walk us through and point us in the right direction so we know what numbers to add up and
Of course, Chair.
Chair.
So if we go to page 34, Appendix A, so the cash in transit, that's all zeros, and that's because where we've got a 32-day account with Lloyds, so 32-day notice account, if we were moving money out of there and it takes 32 days to get to us, would need to put the funds in here, but that's why this is all shown as zero.
And sorry for the silly question, but cash in transit literally means in transit between account A and account B.
Exactly, Chair.
Understood.
And so we've also got a small account with HSBC that's got just over the 100,000 in. We've got our investment, which is 1.2 million, where we've got £1 million with Nationwide and 200,000 with CCLA, which is a word, I think. So we've got 200,000 CCLA. We've got our 32-day account that I mentioned earlier. The Lloyd's current account, which is all our day-to-day transactions, and the Lloyd's reserve account, which is slightly higher in interest. And then we've got our petty cash balance as well. But for the actual bank reconciliation, what we're looking at is the HSBC reserve account. The HSBC account, the Lloyd's current account, and the Lloyd's reserve account. We normally show everything else as investments. This is all the stuff that's readily available.
Well, the investment account, where does the interest that accrues from that show up?
So it doesn't show. It ends up going into the current account.
Okay.
And that's the investment is what we spoke about, what I mentioned earlier in the budgetary control. So where we're looking a lot better budgeted.
But to Councillor Tim's question, if I may, so the interest that's paid on that investment account doesn't. Well, and these are the balances that there's a period at end numbers. So there's the interest is paid within the month into that account, but it's then transferred out into our current account within the period. So it doesn't appear at the month end.
No, so the principles remain the same for both accounts.
Is the interest always paid directly into the
current account?
Okay.
That's correct, yeah.
I was just going to add one thing, Chair. So Dan behind the scenes has a master cash flow spreadsheet. Well, there's a technical term for it, but so what he does is he plots across the whole year, probably across a 2-year period, the cash flow, particularly with our key projects when we might be spending capital. And what that's allowed us to do in the past, Chair, is identify where we might actually be able to invest a bit more money in over a 6-month period. If, for example, so the pavilion's a really good example. So when the pavilion was put back, it enabled us to be creative. We've invested more money into one of the investment accounts to get the interest back, whilst we were sort of not doing anything with that. So Dan's cash flow sort of spreadsheet is really
useful. Forward forecast, is it?
Yeah,
It's that's a rolling forecast. You update it every month and you add a month completes, then you add another month onto the forecast. Okay.
That's correct, Chair.
can I ask, why do we pay the interest into a current account, which I am assuming, but I'll be happy to be corrected, carries no interest? Why don't we put it into an account that earns interest, or does the current account earn interest?
I think just the way we manage cash flow, so it goes directly into the current account, but then as payment runs and things like that happen, the balance in the current account reduces. So if there was, when I'm looking at the investments and how to use the money the best, it's trying to manage the longer term investments and the shorter term investments. So in that sort of example, it might be that we put it into the reserve, move it into the reserve account. If we've got enough in the current account to pay the direct debits and the payment runs that are coming out. And then once we've hopefully got enough in that reserve account, if that's going to be there for longer term, then we might look at investing £1 million, say, with Nationwide for 3 months, but we need enough in those accounts to be able to put the £1 million, because when I first started here, we used to be able to put £500,000 with Nationwide, and then everyone changed their rule, what they wanted, and £500,000 wasn't enough. So if we're going to invest large amounts of money for the longer term, we need at least £1 million that we can lock away for a 3-month period in order to get those higher interests. So it's a case with that kind of short term money, it's balancing it between our current account, a 32-day account, and our reserve account.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does that make sense? It's a very good question. We had certainly over the last 2 years, we've had quite a few discussions about this. We've done some fine tuning on the Treasury policy, and the balance is, of course, provide enough funding for day to day and sort of rainy days, because you need a bit of flex and a bit of headroom, but also particularly with you were of the allotment sales several years ago, we do have a healthy balance sheet. So we're just trying to, the money that sort of we know we can put away, we'll get the best return we can, but there's that sort of middle, the 32-day account, which is, okay, we get a lower interest rate on that, but it's there to draw upon if other expenses come up. So
Can I ask another question? How often do we review the interest rates that we're getting?
All of the time, Chair. It's sort of trying to, for Lloyd, for Nationwide, where we've got, so the £1 million is currently on a deal for 6 months. So obviously you get that interest rate when you do the deal, but then I'm always kind of looking, so I get daily emails from them about how much they'll give us for 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years. Obviously we don't lock money away for that long. It tends to either be 3 or 6 months. So we're getting them every day, as well as Lloyd's very good at sending sales emails saying, "Oh, don't put your £1 million with anyone else, put it with us." But then Nationwide they meet our criteria in the best way for investments, because they're big enough that we can feel safe that our money's secure, but they offer the most competitive rates. So for someone like Nationwide, obviously, for someone like Lloyd's, we know I want to be safe with them, but our £1 million, they're not particularly interested in. So they offer, the interest rates aren't as competitive. So it's always looking at those numbers just to make sure that that's still the case, and it has been for the last good few years.
please.
Just to add, Chair, so the strategic answer is that this committee approves an investment strategy. So everything Dan described there is within the framework of what the committee sets out. So what has happened, certainly a couple of times, it's happened in this election cycle, is we've spotted an opportunity where the investment strategy might not enable us to take that opportunity. So it's come back to this committee for tweaking. This committee's given it more flexibility, and then Dan's been able to then go and unlock additional interest. But it's like anything; it's all set by an investment strategy that this committee sets, and that comes every 12 months. Doesn't it?
And I note that in the forward planner, there's another review on Treasury management in January. So, but absolutely very good question, and it's in the plan to look at this again in January.
I only ask because you know the banks just financially, they just keep moving the goalposts all the time. Almost a full-time job keeping on.
Okay, thank you. Okay, just to round off the topic, let's go back to the ask. Okay, so anyone interested in general, any more questions or comments on the update from Dan on the bank reconciliations? Thank you. Right. Okay, so we're just being asked to receive the reconciliations and note the funds available as of 31st of July. So I'll just take those two together. So all those in favour of noting both those points. Good, thank you. Very good. Okay, so next item is about receivables, outstanding income.
Different chair. So again, similar to the last item, the outstanding income report used to go to the accounts of a subcommittee, but will now come to this committee going forward. So it'll be a new regular item. On page 41, it shows the level of income that was outstanding as at the end of July. And I'm pleased to say that all of these items have subsequently been paid. So there's nothing outstanding. I think just to give a bit more, with the sorts of things that we do as a council with Park Hall hire or Forum magazine or like hiring of the AGP pitch, it's all things that we tend to ask for the money up front. So the level of risk is quite low.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, with a lot of our sort of customers, we've got a very good long-standing relationship with, and really it's not been a particular issue in the past. Are you happy to take any questions?
No living, no debts,
No bad debts.
that's all good.
Well, I work in sales, and there's a client we work with. So we typically get paid within 30 to 60 days of the end of the month. And one client we actually lost the proposal. They were asking for 120 days. So we complete the month, and then we'd submit an invoice, and then we pay that they pay us 4 months later. So we had a bit of a problem with that for obvious reasons. Anyhow, okay, good report. Thank you. I'm just thinking, it seems to me that it has made sense to sort of disband that junior committee and sort of put the items into this committee. I think I think this group is the right group to sort of adjudicate on these. So that seems to be to make sense. Okay. I think all those in favour of noting the outstanding balance of 0, please raise your hand. It's probably easiest decision. Okay, right. So we've got a couple of applications for the community grant application. Can you take us through those, please?
Thank you, Chair. So the report presents 2 community grant applications we received. The applications for consideration. So we've got the first one is the Harpenden Photographic Society, who are requesting £750 to support the production of 50 additional copies of a commemorative photo book celebrating the Society's 90th anniversary. These books will be distributed to local organisations and community groups to raise awareness of the Society and encourage new membership, particularly following a decline in numbers post-COVID-19. As a reminder to the committee, the Photographic Society received a grant of £550 in January of this year for gateway access signs to help increase their membership as well. And then the next one is from Sustainable St Albans, who are requesting £234 to part fund the replacement of 3 large gateway signs, which are used to promote the Harpenden Sustainability Market. These are held quarterly in partnership with the Town Council, and the market supports local eco-businesses and promotes sustainable living amongst residents. Happy to take any questions.
Good, okay. Well, I suggest we just take them one by one. And so we'll start with the application for the Harpenden Photographic Society. So any comments or questions from the councillors, please?
So they got, so how much was it?
550 in January.
So how many did that increase their membership by? As it's now?
So I don't think there's mention of that in their application. I think with in that application, it was receiving the grant in January to get the sign sorted to start from September.
Just,
So from recently, I believe the application was for, so I don't know that we'll have those
big
numbers
figures.
for how well that's worked yet. I think it was for for that season from September onwards was the intention, but I can certainly go back and ask if they've got any more numbers.
Well, I suppose the point is they've already asked for money to increase it.
Yeah.
But we don't know whether that has had any or no impact at all. So, I mean, I can see how signs around would have an immediate impact in a way that a book distributed through a number of various organisations within the town might not be quite so
Yeah.
effective. It would just be interesting to know before.
Yeah, and that's a bit of a newbie to your point, councillor. I assume that where this money comes from, it's a finite pot. There's a fixed sum in it.
Yeah. And to be very clear, we're under no obligation to say yes to every to any application, in fact.
Well, so I'm wondering, how do we make it? Because if we're doing it on a case by case basis, you can just say yes to virtually every
Absolutely what we could do.
request until you've exhausted the pot. So I'm just wondering how is there a way of making these decisions or these, requests for money, making better decisions?
Yeah. So it's a fair question, and I think I'm going to speak for the councillors who've gone before me. I think we try to apply critical thinking to this, and you're absolutely right. Every pound that we grant to applicant A is a pound that we can't grant to applicant B. We don't run, and maybe we should, or I don't know how this would work. We run an annual process and put them into a list and rank them. We currently don't do that. That's actually an interesting idea. But I think we try to judge each item on its own merit with a level of critical thinking, leaving aside further funds for future applications still to come. That's how we currently do it, but open to suggestions if we think there's a better way. So we separate the overall process from the individual case, and I'm happy to talk about both of those.
Well, I know we've got £800 left for this financial year.
There will be if we approve both.
If we approve these, yes.
There's currently 1784 out of the 2,000 remaining.
Yeah, so how many more of these meetings are there that we might approve?
To
Further application.
Potentially November, January, and March.
Yeah.
A potential further.
So 3 more meetings.
3 more meetings if we approve this to allocate £800.
And we're under, just to be very clear, if we're under no obligation to approve any, just because they're on the list, if we don't, using critical thinking and value for money and community value, we're under no obligation to accept or approve any of these. So we try and judge them as best we can on their merits.
If I can just add, Chair, so the way our budget works, we've got the funds that are in our annual budget, which are replenished each year. There are also 8,000 that we've got in earmarked reserves for community grants, but once that money's gone, it's gone. So if there were further applications, whether it be in the next couple of months or if we're in a similar position in future years, we can use those earmarked funds for worthwhile grants. But once that earmarked reserve money's gone, just to say again, it's gone.
Yeah.
But we'll just
you set that out in
4.2. That's correct, Chair.
Okay.
So, well, sorry, you have to again forgive me because this is all a bit new to me. In this budget on page 15, there's grants and SMAs. there's a budget of 27,890. Does this fall into that budget line?
So that's one line of that. So you've also got the funds that we give to the Citizens Advice Bureau in there, the funds that we give to Hartland Collective in there, the funds that we give to the allotment societies in there as well.
Well, just a suggestion. It would be helpful, I think, to have the amounts set aside for all these things broken down. Because then you can see,
In the reporting.
yeah, you can, to me, that helps to make a better informed decision. I mean, is there a pot that you could move money from to help, a pot that, the council might judge is more beneficial? All we've got is one big pot and stuff coming out of it, as far as I can see.
So I think the reporting point is a really good one. If I may, just reading through section 4. So there's a community grant fund of £2,000, which we've agreed for the year. But there's in the earmarked reserve, there's an additional 8,000 for what's called community grants. Okay, so 10. Okay. Now again, we're under no obligation to spend a penny of that if we conclude that the applications are not a good not a good use of taxpayer money. Just on the reporting point, Councillor, which I think is a good one. So if just to sort of understand that fully, if I may, so you're looking at sort of page 15.
Yeah.
So is your thinking just to amend some of the reporting on page 15?
Yeah, I mean, if it's a pot, but it's, in the commentary at the side, you've got just a general commentary. To me, it would be more useful to see how that 27,890 is actually split. How much goes to Citizens Advice, how much to the allotments, how much to the community grant, and anything else that the council helps to fund.
So, Chair, I think there's two things in answer to that. So, we certainly do that at budget setting. So, the budget setting papers, you'll see the detailed breakdown of what each high level line is. We could include it into the budget reporting. The document will be bigger. We can absolutely do that. I think we'd do it for every line, probably. I would have thought. Otherwise, you're picking and choosing.
It's that thing.
One or the other.
Yeah, trying to find the balance where obviously there's a lot of information on page 15 as it is. It's quite squashed and difficult to read. So it's just adding more lines.
I understand that, but again, surely there's some sort of balance between not creating a whole load more of not helpful work and actually helping councillors to make better decisions on how discretionary spend is made.
That's a fair point. So if I look at page 15, I think that's been designed to present the overall budget at a certain level of resolution, and you're quite right. So if we look at grants and SLAs, it actually covers a number of sub-items, allotments, citizens' rights, and so on. But that's not the only one, because many of the other line items that cover a category of cost items. I take your point that some of these are, because we're being asked to make decisions on some. So, for example, we're not being asked to sort of make decisions on the storage depot costs, or because those are operational decisions, right? So, okay. So, is your thinking, Councillor, that for those items where we're being asked to make decisions, for example, the grants and so on, because I don't think we'd want, if I may say, I don't think we need everything broken out in this report. But to provide councillors with greater context of where we're being asked to make a decision, there's probably just a subcategory where there is in the budget report a bit of a breakdown on the budget and the spend. Is that okay? Were councillors' thoughts in response to that suggestion?
So are we just talking about these individual grants?
Well, if you look at the budget on page 15,
yeah,
that's designed at a particular level of, obviously there's levels below that. Now, if I may paraphrase, the observation from councillor is that many of these we're not being asked to make decisions, because those are under the operational management and rightly so of the officers. But some of these items we do make decisions on, for example, the grants and SLAs. So actually on those, just I guess to provide context and to set things out, when we'll be asked to make a decision. I personally think it's a good idea. Would you think it'd be valid to, within in the reports for this meeting, just to have, I think it's the grants and SLAs item itself, just broken down into a paragraph or two, so we
Okay.
just like that. I think that's the suggestion. I personally would support that. Is that something that
Yeah, I'll support that.
councillor Live, your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, the SLAs are for 3 years, aren't they? Are they?
Generally, yeah.
Yeah, so it's not something that fluctuates from
Correct.
year to
But
year.
I still don't know how much of that 27,800 is SLAs.
In terms of the community grants, it would be useful to have a breakdown of the ones that have been allocated in this financial year and who got them and how much. I think that would be quite useful.
Yeah.
But the problem with doing that is that we are looking at each application on its merit, aren't we? We're not comparing it with what we gave to the Hornbeam Hedgehog Society. So
We're not, but it would be a good test to say, well, look, we were being asked to donate £1,000 to Good Cause X. Last meeting we gave £2,000 to Good Cause Y, and I just, it's hard to compare the Hedgehog Society with the air rifles for the air cadets, but I think we do have to, and we do attempt to do that. So I think it would not hurt to have some of the most recent applications that we'd approved. Just we can sort of put things into context. I mean, I personally have some questions about the Harpenden Photographic Society, because I personally don't think it's good. It's a good investment. It seems to be a declining level of interest, and I think there's going to be other more growing areas where we can get a better return on investment for our money. And the previous grants we've made can help with all of us sort of put that into a better context. What would be my thinking?
I mean, I suppose my concern about the Harpenden Photographic Society is that they put in a previous application
Yes.
and now they're putting in another one. It doesn't seem like they sat down and thought about it strategically. It's sort of like, oh, we've done this, and we're going to put some new posters up. And now, what about doing that? And that would concern me. I'd also kind of like to know whether they had any increased membership from the posters going up in now, to see whether they get the £750 for, because otherwise we're looking at it in isolation. I think it is quite difficult to compare the Hornbeam Hedgehog Society with the Harpenden Photographic Society. Because I suppose the benefit to the community of Harpenden Photographic Society, getting people out, getting people doing things, is how you quantify the positive impact of an organisation like that is possibly quite difficult, but I'm sure it has a positive impact. Really.
Okay, so thank you. So I guess there's two things. There's a process and a reporting item, but then there's the can I suggest we put the process item to one side for now? I'll come back to this. If we just come back to the items themselves, I would like to come to a decision on both, if we can. Just considering the application from the Harpenden Photographic Society. So, Councillor Liver, thank you for your comments about which I think are very relevant in terms of we've recently made a donation to this. It doesn't seem as if that's been implemented yet. We yet to see the results of that. I think that's an extremely relevant comment. Are there any other comments or questions from the councillors present today on that application? One of the other things that we've applied in the past is to, again, just looking at their sort of balance sheet. So it's on page 48, they've got something like sort of £8,000 in reserves. Now, there is a comment in section 11 that the intent is that they maintain a certain level of reserves to cover, buying equipment and so on, which again is reasonable. A test that we have applied on previous applications is actually you've got quite a lot of money in the bank, and really you should be dipping into that first, because you've clearly, people have already donated to your society. You should be putting that money to good use and not, running an excessive reserve, whatever excessive is. And we have declined applications on the past on the basis of, we like the cause and we're sympathetic to the application, but actually they've got a perfectly good balance sheet and we think they should self-fund on that occasion. So on other applications, we have come to that conclusion.
Sorry.
Yeah, I see they've a good point. They've got reserves, so it covers 2 years of expenditure, which I think is.
I mean, if I might offer an opinion, I think I'm minded to decline this application on 3 grounds. One is the point raised by Councillor Live. We've already made a recent donation and we've yet to see that A, put to use, and B, have an effect. Secondly, I think they have pretty good level of reserve, which is more than 10 times the amount of the request that they're making. And thirdly, this is a little bit subjective. I mean, I like taking photographs as much as the next person, but if fundamentally fewer people are interested in this as a hobby, then it's arguably a declining activity. And I think it's a better use of our funds to put money into a growing activity. So on that basis, and other opinions are welcome, but I'm minded to decline this application.
Yeah,
Agreed.
You wouldn't want to agree to half, 325.
We could do that. I personally, I would be minded to decline and ask for an update on the existing investment that's been made and the results of that, and invite them to reapply at a later date. There'd be a genuine invitation to reapply, but we'd like to see some evidence of a return on investment from the existing donation, and then we'd be pleased to receive a further application in the future. That would be my sense on this application. Yeah. Okay, so just to close these off one by one. So if I may move to decline the application, but invite respectfully and supportively the society to give us an update on progress, how they're doing with the existing funding, and we'd be pleased to receive another application at a later date once they've once they've been able to demonstrate some results from the existing investment. So all of those in favour of that motion? Thank you. Okay, so the next item is from the Harpenden Sustainability Market. Daniel, did you want to summarise this, or?
So I think, just as I said previously, Chair, so they're requesting £234 to part fund the replacement of 3 large gateway signs used to promote the market. The market's held quarterly in partnership with us and supports local eco businesses and sustainable living among residents.
Chair, could I just add one point to that, just to make it absolutely clear, and that's the principle of the working with Sustainable St Albans locally, and it's a brilliant partnership, is that any surplus that we raise from the market is split 50-50. Mm-hmm. So in essence, the town council is already going to be funding 50% of these boards, mm-hmm. and if agreed, we'll end up funding 100%. Okay. So I just want to make that clear in that they are receiving 50% of the surplus and now asking us to fund 100% of an expenditure on something, which is slightly against the principles. I appreciate the value is very low, but the principle of the arrangement is a 50-50.
Well, I mean, to your point, Chair, they've got 9 grams worth of unrestricted savings reserves. It's only a small amount, but
that's what's that? That's like what 30 times the amount requested. Yeah, to your point exactly.
Mm.
That's a double.
Yeah, and I think the additional information from the town clerk was very relevant as well. Okay, councillor Oliver, councillor Timms, any?
Yeah, good points. Yeah.
Nothing further.
Okay, if I may offer an opinion, and you know, please feel free to disagree. It's just I'm just trying to come to a conclusion. I'm also minded to decline the application on the basis of the information provided by the town clerk. So we're already supporting the organisation, which we continue to support. It's a great organisation. I think they're getting a lot of support already, and you know they have substantial unrestricted items on their balance sheets as well. So I think, yeah, nice application, but I'm minded to decline spaces.
Agreed.
Okay, all those in favour of that decision, please raise your hands. Okay, thank you. Good. Okay, so thank you for the items in hand. Councillor, just so we don't leave anything hanging. So you've made a suggestion, a request, a proposal. It's about I don't think it's a huge request actually. Just a little bit more detail on the. If I may paraphrase, it's basically the funding already agreed in the current financial year. So I guess you've got an opening balance, items agreed, and then a closing balance. Is that your request, councillor?
And Chair, just from a presentation point, I think the best place to do that is within the resource implications of the actual grant report itself. So essentially the 4.1 and 4.2 would be expanded, would include a table in there that would do that breakdown as opposed to include it in the budgetary control. You know,
I think that's very helpful. Basically.
And there was a second part to the process as well, just noting that every year we review the community grants criteria process. That's done in March.
Yes.
And I think again this year we should probably have a look at a detailed look at how we do things compared with the current approach of individual grants coming in or applications coming in multiple times versus that one application period. Now there are significant challenges with one period, and largely that is you tend to generate much more demand than the funds you've got. So you end up inadvertently letting a lot more organisations down, which can be quite tricky with some of the organisations who it takes them a lot of time to put these applications together. There are positives to that, to that process as well. But I just think perhaps in that March review, we go one step further than we normally would and give some sort of analysis on, you know, the pros and cons of having that one application period. Or, you know, with one set deadline that we look at it at the start of the year, or indeed perhaps over a longer term period. Yeah, just an idea on the process.
Okay. Your thoughts, councillor?
No, I'll be guided by that. But my only thought out of all of that is with the review. I mean, and again, correct me if I'm missing something. Is there an overarching mission statement objective?
Yes, we have a business plan, and certainly I think what we try to do is to maybe not implicitly and directly, probably implicitly, you know, we have a set of objectives in our business plan which we've all signed up to. I think including yourself now, and so as much as possible, so I look at, you know, does this application further the goals that we've signed up to? That would be my response to that.
And so, do the people that, or the organisations that apply for funds, do they know what our sort of criteria are?
Yeah, Chair, I think it's worth us sending around because this is the first sort of applications you're seeing. So we have a criteria and application pack, which is what ordinarily the committee annually reviews. So are these criteria, however many there are, still relevant? So the applicants know exactly what they're being judged against, essentially. Yeah, so we'll send that round so you have sight of that. Yeah, it'll be useful.
Okay, very good. So we've made decisions on both of the applications, and I think we formally passed the request from about the additional reporting. So that's
it's the breakdown of the budget line, and do we want just the financial year that we're in of historic grants to be added to the report, or
it's the current financial year? We don't want to create too much additional work. So and I think the suggestion from the town clerk was very relevant. So just in section 4, just add another paragraph. So it's the opening budget for the current financial year, applications approved to date, description, value, and then you've got an available balance. And I think just you've keep the additional, the current 2 paragraphs of sort of description to complement that table.
Yep.
Okay, do we need to vote on that?
Just to be safe.
All those in favour? There you go, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. So I think we're nearly there.
That's the last.
I think that's the last one. Is there any exec business? Chair. Okay, any other items from the floor? Right, I'll declare this meeting closed. Thank you very much.
Thank you.